Islam, one of the fastest growing religions, making up nearly 2 billion people worldwide. In recent years, the rise of Islamophobia has affected millions of people in North America and the rest of the world. So we brought together a group of students in the McMaster University Muslim community and asked a series of questions pertaining to Islamophobia and their personal relationship with the religion. Now, without further ado, we get to the video. What do you think a big misconception about this religion is?
So there's a few on my mind right now. There's definitely a lot. I guess one of them is with the hijab. I think I've heard a lot of misconceptions saying that girls are forced to wear it from a young age, and maybe sometimes husbands force the wives to wear the hijab or something. But within Islam, the true meaning is for the girl to choose, or the woman to choose to cover up herself, to wear the hijab herself. It's their own decision. So that's a misconception.
I think what Western media promotes is that we are an oppressive religion, and I feel like that's very prominent. We see that in shows. We see that it's very ironic because Islam was the first religion to give women rights when women were being so mistreated. But yet today, when the hijab and everything is seen as a symbol of liberation, others seem to see it that we're being oppressed. And in my opinion, I feel like what people lack is depth, and they lack an actual understanding of why we do things the way we do it.
I think, and this is something that I've thought about a lot, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about the religion of Islam is that it's a very sort of restrictive religion. I've heard people say that Muslims aren't allowed to have fun, or Muslims aren't allowed to be happy in this world. And I think that's one of the biggest things that kind of deters people away from, as people meaning non-Muslims, away from Islam, just because no one likes to be told what to do, when in reality it's really it's a liberating religion. We feel, especially as a woman, I feel very empowered with the things that Islam has. And I think it's a shame to see that people are so misled and misguided about the true beauty that Islam holds.
I think a big misconception is that it limits your freedom, which is quite the opposite. You have to have real meaning to really understand that the rules set in place actually set you free.
Have you felt uncomfortable or unsafe showing your Muslim identity publicly?
Personally, unsafe, never. That's a good thing, alhamdulillah, never. Uncomfortable, maybe. For me, the worst I felt are probably just looks, stares. Let's say me and our friends, let's say after Eid prayer, maybe we're all dressed a certain way, we went out to eat or something like that. The looks, honestly, for some people that would be dressed that way, I think it does feel unsafe and uncomfortable. And I know for our sisters especially, they do feel uncomfortable and unsafe, and that's something very serious. Even women in my family, they wear the hijab and they go through that, and I know that firsthand. But me personally, not unsafe, but maybe a little uncomfortable.
I didn't question anything. I just kind of pushed religion to the side. I knew I was Muslim, but that was about it. And it was my name would always get mispronounced and stuff. So I literally I'm just then now in university, I'm I have such a nice name. Why did I let people butcher it? And I don't know. So I feel I did feel very uncomfortable, and I never really thought about wearing hijab either until very recently, during the pandemic. So, and now I see that in the GTA too, there's such a prominent group of Muslims. There's so many Muslims. I'll go out and I'll see so many other hijabis, and it's just very heartwarming.
Wearing the hijab is sometimes really hard, especially being in America and Texas, which is a very Republican state. So sometimes it just gets difficult going out into public, especially when going to the airport through security or anything. It gets pretty difficult to stay continuous on our path and keep wearing it. So I guess honestly, other than the fact that hijab is one of the visible reasons where people can notice that I'm Muslim, besides that, I feel I'm pretty okay with it. And only sometimes, only during the places where I feel I'm going to be stared at, the airport,
So like definitely like it was a challenge for me to actually like do what my heart desired, which is to wear the hijab and like express my Islamic identity. And even when I started wearing the hijab, like I felt a little bit of like sort of like that indirect passive discrimination from like other people. I found that like, you know, my friends that came to like McMaster from my high school, you know, maybe saw me a little bit differently.
Do you feel that the media affects the portrayal of Muslims?
Yeah, I definitely do think so. Movies such as like A Thousand Splendid Suns or The Kite Runner always show women really oppressed and very patriarchal. I think it displays culture more, and people um, misinterpret that as religion, which in fact is not. It's culture instead.
This one's easier. Absolute big, astounding yes. And almost 99% of that is negative. 99% of that is honestly disgusting. And like the crazy part is most of the people's idea, their knowledge, their perception of Muslims comes solely from the media. And that's 99% negative. Maybe even more than that, honestly. And as we know, Fox, CNN, all these big giants, their portrayal is two-faced, it's hypocritical, it's misrepresentative, it's negative, it's just even the choice of words. Like recently we saw the shooting in the salon. He was a white male. You never heard hate crime, you never heard white, you never heard Christian anywhere there. All you heard was like gunmen, or you heard something. You never heard terrorists either. But if this was a Muslim doing maybe a tenth of that, you would hear Muslim jihadist, Islamist, terrorist, and yeah, just stuff like that. But it happens at a macro and a micro level. Like you don't even like just like small things that here and there you'll see snippets of that affect portrayal of Muslims, and it's not just a portrayal, but it has negative effects in real life in people's lives. And that's the scary part.
Has 9/11 impacted you or your family personally?
I wouldn't say that like we were obviously in America, like we were in California when 9/11 happened. I wouldn't say 9/11 affected me personally, but I feel like it might have affected my parents and my family because back then my parents or like none of my family members wore hijab or anything, so I feel like it might have been easier for them to go out and stuff, but they were visibly like, colored. I don't think the actual event of 9/11 affected them personally, but the aftermath of like people changing their opinions to how Muslims are might have affected it. So that's why we moved to Canada, because it was getting difficult to live here.
So it did. My dad actually wasn't too far from the towers when it happened, maybe like 15 minutes, 20 minutes away. And me personally, no, but it has affected my family, my dad especially, because he was in New York City working, and like his colleagues and stuff, you could see like even from back home, they would tell my father, you know, like take your beard off or something like that, you know, be careful, you know, like make sure in public nobody knows you're Muslim. And my dad tells me stories of colleagues, close friends, like before maybe they were visibly identified as a Muslim for whatever reason, and now they chose to take that away because of real harms and problems that they faced. And obviously it's affected all of us in the sense that like the whole idea about Muslim terrorism kind of went to the next level after that. And like again, back to the other question, the media's portrayal, if it wasn't bad before 9/11, it definitely became bad after.
I think for my family, I feel like I can't really like speak for them because I'm not so sure. I think maybe it might have, especially since I know for my parents, like they have been working for years and years and years here in Canada. They immigrated like 20 years ago, but I think they still feel a sense of like, you know, racism, or like they feel like they need to kind of work a little harder, or like kind of like do more to like be seen as equal among their other like white or like, you know, they see non-Muslim coworkers. So maybe 9/11 could have impacted sort of the way they feel, especially like in public and at their workplace.
What do you like most about being Muslim?
So yeah, that strong belief is one of my favorite things about Islam, because you always know that what's happening to you is happening for a reason. and things will always like pick up and get better from there. But another thing I like is the trust that like actually like Muslims have within each other. If you see someone and you know that they they they, they follow their religion, they pray their prayers and stuff, then at least for me, I automatically trust someone like that. um even if they had a completely different upbringing from me. If I just meet someone in a mosque, or know from a start that they're Muslim, it eases the, I don't know, like the interactions, the communication. You just feel like you trust one another a lot more, even if you've never met before.
What do I like most about Islam? Okay, we'll change it up a little bit. The food, the different Muslim cultures, the food that you get everywhere, it's pretty amazing. Anywhere you go, Muslim food, I swear to God, is like the best. Like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with that one. Anywhere you go, like in Pakistan, you go Arab food, like come on, Arab food might be the best thing ever. You go to Africa, you go like America, like anywhere, like food, yeah. Sorry.
I like that I'm not constricted by the rules of this world. Things that would bother certain people just because, you're trying really hard to like build a future in this world. I don't have to be constrained by that because I know that this is temporary and that there's something after that's more everlasting.
How would you describe the McMaster Muslim community?
I would describe the McMaster Muslim community as a space for anyone, just because even in first year when I wasn't like all that religious yet, one of my friends told me to go to Juma at Mac, and it was the first my family, we don't like go to the mosque like daily or like on a weekly or monthly basis. Like we go on Eid and stuff, and like just like we have to. So all of a sudden, like going to that Juma environment, like it was the first time that I heard a khutbah and I was able to relate to it. And that was so cool for me. I'm just like that was the first thing I told all my friends. I'm like, it was so relatable. Like I've never experienced that.
Again, when I was first moving here from all the way from Dubai, like I'm not gonna say completely different atmosphere, because it's still as international as I was living in Dubai. There's people from all different cultures and backgrounds, and I really liked how welcoming the Muslim Student Association was. They always host like the weekly Friday prayers, which if it wasn't for them, I'd be having to look for a mosque every Friday, having to find somewhere out of campus, especially in the first 2 years when I didn't have a car and I was living in the dorms. It would have been difficult. So they've made everything easy for a Muslim to have their transition into McMaster. All I have to do is walk to DBAC. So
I think it's unreal. I actually have done my previous degree at McMaster, and at that time I hadn't joined the MSA. So I wasn't really sure. And so this is my first attempt at it. And I'm part of the mental health community as well now. And I think it's just amazing, the work that they're doing and how inviting or encouraging people are. I feel like I can talk to anyone. I can message them and they will give me a kind response and they will help me out.
How would you describe your faith in one word?
I'm thinking okay, I would describe it as a foundation. Something that we can we always have it on us, and it's like even if we fall into depression or anything, like before I used to lose hope completely, and I would talk about death and stuff so casually, and now I'm just like, Dean has given me a foundation, like falling in love with Islam again.
Wow, that's the toughest one, yeah. But I mean, I guess peace. It's always you always. I want to highlight the word peace just because the negativity of media, and I think every Muslim, when asked to summarize in one word, will try to put the word peace in there. But it is true,
maybe reassuring or grounding in a way.
I think it's a blessing.
I'm gonna say linear.
Okay, this one's kind of hard. Okay, my faith in one word. Maybe comfort. having like there's probably a dozen things I can think of, but one just came to mind was comfort. Comfort in the sense that I know that I have a God. I know that we all have a God, and I know that I have someone to go back to, someone to ask for things to, someone to know that's always there. Somebody, and also to know that comfort in the fact that, like my fellow Muslims, comfort in that sense that whenever like you go meet a stranger, even maybe you've never seen them, you don't know anything about them, but once you find out each other are Muslim, there's just something changes. The dynamic just shifts, and it becomes a much more of a comfort space, like a comfort zone. And just in that sense, I think comfort is one way of describing faith for me.